Okay, this is the part 2 of the evolution of incretin hormones presented at the Philippine Society of Diabetology's workshop last June 2024. The part 2 is all about emerging frontiers in diabetes management, the role of GLP-1 co-agonists. Now, as an introduction, the current state of diabetes management is characterized by significant advancement in drug therapies and technology, yet there remain substantial unmet needs, challenges, and limitation of existing therapies such as hypoglycemia, weight gain, sustained weight gain, complexity of regimen, cost, CV safety, renal impairment, adverse effects, and lack of disease modifying therapies, etc. As we can see, the global epidemic rise in obesity and type 2 diabetes over the last 2 decades is well recognized in the scientific and public communities as an area of substantial medical need and social consequence. As the mean body weight increases, so does the incidence of diabetes, as you can see in this graph. Now, despite emerging therapies for type 2 diabetes that achieve unprecedented efficacy to practically normalizing blood glucose, drug development for treatment of obesity has been arduous and largely unsuccessful. Many pharmacological approaches are severely limited by their adverse effects, and tolerated doses often provide fractional efficacy, less than 10% weight loss. For this reason, bariatric surgery has emerged as the most effective method to sizably lower excess body weight and improve metabolic control, despite its considerable risks and financial costs. Until we found out that we have a couple of class of agents with weight loss inducing effect, especially GLP-1RA. As we can see in this graph, the significant glycemic efficacy across all GLP-1 agonists. But wait, there's still more. We see weight loss as well. Now, moreover, based on the CVOT and because of their pleiotropic effect on other tissues and organs, clinical benefit extend beyond glycemic control, such as cardiovascular and renal benefit and possible neuroprotective benefit, as well as fatty liver and etc. Timeline in GLP-1 agonist development, type 2 DM, and obesity indication. As of now, they are indicated not only for glycemic control, but some of them for obesity as well. Again, just to emphasize that GLP-1RA can affect many organs, including but not limited to brain, GI, pancreas, heart, and liver. Particularly important are in the heart and liver. It also shows improvement of dyslipidemia either because of weight loss or its intrinsic effects. While metabolic surgery remains unmatched in terms of percentage weight loss for obesity, liraglutide, semaglutide, and in combination of semaglutide with cralinintide, a long-acting amylin, have shown promising results even in the early developmental stage. However, as of now, none of these treatments achieve or exceed the weight loss effect of bariatric surgery. This is an illustration of body mass that leads to heightened health risks, particularly when the BMI exceeds 40 or is over 35 with additional health condition. Obesity treatment pyramid is a hierarchy of intervention ranging from lifestyle modification at the base, aiming for a weight reduction of about 2 to 5%, progressing through a pharmacotherapy, and culminating in a surgical portion or options on top for severe cases aiming for achieving 20 or even 40% goal of weight loss. Now, progressive weight loss has been demonstrated to exert dose-dependent and tissue-specific biological effect. These benefits include enhanced insulin sensitivity in the liver, muscles, and adipose tissues. Significant weight loss influences gene expression in subcutaneous adipose tissue, leading to a reduced inflammation, increased fat browning, and improved mitochondrial function, which collectively enhance the metabolic health and lower the risk of obesity-related complication. Weight loss of about 5% can trigger the following beneficial changes. And reaching an 11% weight loss, you would have more improvement including gene expression in the subcutaneous adipose tissues. And reaching 16% of weight loss leads to all markers including inflammation. So what about the effect of weight loss on comorbidities? Where weight loss has a significant impact on the improvement of various obesity-related comorbidities. Even a modest weight loss of 5% can lead to a reduction in a range of comorbid conditions. These improvements are observed across different BMI categories and include enhancements in metabolic parameters such as hemoglobin A1C and triglycerides. Surgical intervention like laparoscopic sleeve gastrectomy and Roux-en-Y gastric bypass have been shown to result in a substantial weight loss and remission of comorbidities over the long term. Overall weight loss, whether achieved through lifestyle changes, pharmacotherapy, or surgery, is associated with a decrease in severity and prevalence of conditions such as type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and dyslipidemia. Now, having said that, these incretin-based therapies and certain GLP-1 receptor agonists on its own is not sufficient to overcome all these things that we'd like to alter. So there are non-responder to the GLP-1 RAs. Interestingly, in the recent published articles looking at GLP-1 receptor agonism in people who are younger. So the STEP Teen program using a high dose semaglutide 2.4 mg per week, there was 27% of those individuals in the study did not hit a 5% loss of body mass, which is a fairly minimal change in weight. And as far as regulatory authorities are concerned, would not be regarded as an anti-obesity or a weight loss management drug. And even in tirzepatide in the middle, in the SURMOUNT-1 trial, nearly 10% of people on the highest dose of tirzepatide did not hit that magic 5% weight loss. And in STEP 2 trial in adult, approximately 32% non-responders. So still, we have non-responders, and we don't exactly know the reason. There is a presumption that there may be some genetic influences, but these have yet to be teased out. Perhaps we need a more effective new molecules to manage this non-responder. So the treatment range from lifestyle intervention to gastric bypass surgery, there is a big gap perhaps in terms of weight loss. There is a significant gap in weight loss treatment that might be addressed by new molecules such as combination, pharmacotherapy, or polyagonists. So with that, it's now an appropriate time to discuss peptide-based unimolecular agonists and widening the scope of GLP-1 RA. Okay, this is the approach leveraging the incretin system with glucagon receptor, GIP, as well as GLP-1 receptor agonists. Okay? The initial approach involved utilizing the incretin system with GIP, glucagon, or even a combination of all the three, including GLP-1. GLP-1 and GIP combination, known as a twincretin, have seen its first success with tirzepatide, which is available internationally but not yet locally. Previously, it was noted that glucagon receptor antagonism alone could lead to dyslipidemia, hyperaminocidemia, and hepatic lipid deposition. Therefore, it has been proposed that glucagon agonism in conjunction with gut hormone could be therapeutically beneficial for treating type 2 DM and obesity. The strategy of targeting the incretin glucagon system with a dual or even tri-agonist aim to treat diabetes by using the glucagon agonist to boost energy expenditure and promote weight loss, while GLP-1 is used to mitigate the hyperglycemic effect of glucagon. This approach takes advantage of the complementary action of both hormones to achieve a balanced metabolic outcome. Additionally, other multi-agonists like GLP-1 combined with other gut hormones such as oxyntomodulin, GIP, may mimic the effect of metabolic surgery. Now, the reason for the development of GLP-1 and glucagon dual agonist is to explore the efficacy of combined glucagon and GLP-1 agonism in a single peptide. This is to minimize the hyperglycemic effect of glucagon agonism by the effect of GLP-1, and this may utilize the lipolytic, the thermogenic properties attributed to glucagon for its weight loss effect. And in addition to the satiation inducing effect of GLP-1 will provide strong mechanistic rationale for the development of synergistic co-agonist peptide. The magic word here is synergism. Now, this cartoon depicts the beneficial effect of both GLP-1 and glucagon. The effect of GLP-1 effect in red and glucagon in blue. As you can see, glucagon effect are more on energy expenditure, weight and loss and lipolysis, and reduce fat mass and body weight. This is an example of co-agonist structures, amino acid sequence of the glucagon receptor as well as a GLP-1 receptor as a co-agonist, a hybrid peptide mixed glucagon and GLP-1 sequence that was structurally supplemented to prevent proteolysis and delay metabolic clearance. Residues derived from unique AIB residue or aminoisobutyric acid to protect it from DPP-4 cleavage. In addition of PEG structure to slow renal clearance. Residue derived from the GLP-1 or exendin 4 are depicted in red. Residue derived from glucagon are depicted in green. Residues shared with GLP-1 and glucagon are depicted in yellow, and unique residues are depicted in orange. Well, this is translational superiority of glucagon and GLP-1 receptor co-agonism versus just one GLP-1 receptor monoagonism. This is a proof of concept. When we look at the data, letter A, graph effect of lower dose of glucagon and GLP-1 co-agonism in blue diamond versus liraglutide in red circle for weight loss to lower body weight in diet-induced obese rhesus monkey following a daily subcutaneous injection at the indicated doses. The B and C effect on the meal tolerance test following a 7-day of subcutaneous injection, where liraglutide in a red circle a tenfold lower dose of glucagon and GLP-1 receptor co-agonist in blue diamond in a diabetic rhesus monkeys. This is a result of a statistical significance of a tenfold lower dose of a combined hormone versus just one hormone. Now, the current glucagon-containing anti-obesity drugs in the development and are plentiful, and there are different stages of the development. GLP-1 and GIP are a pair of two incretin hormones secreted from the gut in response to ingestions of nutrients. They both enhance insulin secretion and subsequently ameliorate postprandial glucose excretion. Thus, simultaneous activation of GLP and GIP receptor might well have greater glucose lowering abilities than their separate activation. However, GIP receptor activation might ameliorate glycemia but may cause body weight gain as seen in animal model. That's why GIP receptor agonism has been comparatively neglected in the past few decades. GIP also exerts the modest effect to increase glucagon secretion during hypoglycemia and suppress glucagon level during hyperglycemia. So to achieve significant clinical benefit, particularly in terms of weight loss, from the combination of GLP-1 and glucagon receptor, it is crucial to maintain a delicate and precise balance between the two agonists with a single molecular agent. This balance is essential for maximizing multiple metabolic benefit while minimizing adverse effects. There are several peptide agonists in the clinical development listed here. We have the tirzepatide, the GLP-1 and GIP that have been available in other countries. We have the dual combination. AstraZeneca and Sanofi are in the phase 2 trial. The choice between co-agonists, it's either chimera and peptide fusion structures, depend on the specific therapeutic goal. Co-agonists are advantageous for precise synergistic receptor targeting, while peptide fusion offer enhanced stability and pharmacokinetics. The decision should be guided by the desired clinical outcomes and the pharmacological properties of the target receptors into a single molecules. Example is tirzepatide, which is a chimeric molecules, not a fusion protein. It is designed as a dual agonist for both GLP-1 and GIP receptor, combining the pharmacological properties of these two incretin hormones into a single peptide. One example of GLP-1 co-agonist that is fusion molecules is a GLP-1 and FGF21 dual agonist. This fusion protein combine the properties of GLP-1 with those of the FGF21, aiming to enhance glycemic control, promote weight loss, and improve lipid metabolism. Or better still, targeting the two incretin hormones and a glucagon system with a tri-agonist in the treatment of diabetes. The essential points are: number one, there is a need for new therapeutic strategies with broader activities than any current available drugs. Number two, GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon receptor have unique tissue distribution and activity, supporting their combined use to treat diabetes. GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon have similar peptide sequences, permitting the development of a single sequence multi-receptor agonist. And lastly, multi-receptor agonists may be more effective than mono agonists for reducing body weight and improving metabolic dysfunction. So, we go now to discuss briefly triagonists. The peptide YY is a gut hormone primarily involved in regulating peptide and energy homeostasis. It is released postprandially from the L cells in the ileum and colon in response to food intake. The therapeutic potentials is that there is ongoing research into the PYY analogs and their potential therapeutic application for obesity as well as metabolic disorder. The novel PYY-136 analog have been shown promise in enhancing satiety and reducing food intake. The PYY remains a significant target for research due to its potent effect on the appetite regulation and potential therapeutic application in obesity and its related metabolic disorders. The pharmacological action of glucagon-like peptide or GLP-1, glucose-dependent insulotropic peptide GIP, and as well as glucagon shown here in human and in rodents. Each hormone affecting different areas of organs or tissues. GLP-1 in blue arrow, GIP in red arrow, glucagon in green arrow. Note that the effect of GLP-1 on bone formation were not confirmed in human, and that the effect of GIP and glucagon secretion were observed only when glucose levels were high. Now, in general, this slide illustrates the advantage of unimolecular multi-agonists, which may base on the receptors or hormone involved. For GLP-1 glucagon coagonist, the expected improvement includes increased energy expenditure and glycemic control, primarily affecting body weight. In the case of GLP-1 and GIP coagonists, the focus is more on enhancing glycemic control. Meanwhile, triagonists, exemplified by GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon, have a significant impact on body weight. Well, there appears to be a lack of satisfaction here. Both glucagon and thyroid hormone have been the potential to individual promote weight loss and improve dyslipidemia in human. This makes them appealing candidates for the development of a comprehensive treatment for cardiometabolic disease. As you can see in this slide, these are the list of the pipeline for obesity treatment, which includes several novel nutrient-stimulated hormone-based therapies. Notably, cagrilintide, which is a long-acting acylated amylin analog, is highlighted here. DACRA, which stands for dual amylin and calcitonin receptor agonist, enhances insulin sensitivity and boosts muscle specific glucose uptake independent of weight loss. Additionally, there are dual or even triple receptor agonist combination. Among the dual receptor agonists, the combination of cagrilintide and semaglutide, known as CagriSema, has shown preliminary promising data on weight loss. So this is a meta-analysis of GLP-1 RA and coagonists on glycemic control, body weight, and lipid profile in type 2 DM, which revealed the following outcomes. In terms of A1C, on top is tirzepatide and the mastudide, a dual GLP-1 and glucagon receptor agonist, and then it's followed by CagriSema. For weight loss, CagriSema is way above on top, okay, followed by tirzepatide and retatrutide. So in summary, the current landscape of diabetes management is characterized by significant advancement, yet faces unmet needs. The role of GLP-1 coagonists may represent a significant advancement in the therapeutic landscape by augmenting the clinical benefit from GLP-1 agonists alone, especially with weight loss. Dual targeted treatments such as GLP-1 coagonists with GIP have shown promise in improving glycemic control and promoting weight loss more effectively than single agonist therapies. Exploring the balance between GLP-1 and glucagon receptor agonism present a novel approach to treating obesity and type 2 DM. By leveraging dual or multiple agonist mechanism, these therapies offer the potential for the following: improve glycemic control, weight management, cardiovascular benefit, and other abnormal metabolic milieu such as lipid, hypertension, muscle, etc. Therefore, GLP-1 polyagonist holds great promise in addressing the multifaceted challenges of managing type 2 diabetes and its associated metabolic condition. There, that's the end of the presentation, and thank you for listening.